Hi everybody, this is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion. Your host, the Hut, and of course this is the Baseball Hut, believe it or not. We're outside. Outside the new Baseball Hut. And very beautiful day here in New York, but not a beautiful day for the Mets or the Met fans. The Mets played in London and did not really acquit themselves the way they should. I mean, they're representing us. And these fools played like they played here for us. They lost 7-2 to basically the best team in baseball. I was listening to the radio on the way home, and I saw this. I heard this statistic, and I was like flabbergasted about the pace that the Phillies are on. They're 45-19. Only two other teams have gotten off to that kind of a similar start. One is the 2016 Chicago Cubs. Obviously, they won a World Series. And, of course, our 1986 New York Mets, who got off to a 46-18 start or something like that, 45-18 start. So this team the Mets are going up against a team that is in rarefied air, as you know. And they are a team that is doing everything right. They're getting good pitching, getting timely hitting, not making mistakes, getting good bullpen work. And you're seeing it on display. Now, this Mets team, I don't care what they did in this past week. They went up against a Nationals team that they've been dominating the last few years. They're a young team. It's a veteran team. It's not a situation where I don't believe in this team. I've seen enough of this group now to have a pretty good idea of what I'm looking at. And this team needs to be at least broken up. Now, I noticed that, again, Jeff McNeil did not play again today. He's not played in a week. Obviously, the Mets had 2 days off for travel, but he has not played. So that should tell you something. He hasn't even pinch hit. He hasn't done anything. I don't think the Mets are particularly happy with him. I don't think the new front office with Dave Stearns, I certainly don't think the manager's all too pleased. There's also talk, and of course Brett Beatty is in London. He was told to take reps at second. He's never played second base, and he's a big guy. I don't know where they're going to go with that, but that tells you that they want some more versatility for second base. Now, like I said, Jeff McNeil has not played in a week. He's probably going to play tomorrow, I would think. But quite frankly, the fact that he hasn't played much tells you that this team, in terms of the front office, in terms of how they view some of these players, they're ready to move. They're ready to move on from some of these guys. If a guy has not performed well for the Mets, they get rid of him. We saw what they did to Omar Narvaez this week, in the past week, and obviously they got rid of Jorge Lopez very quickly after he threw his glove into the stands about a week ago. So the Mets are ready to sort of get better, and get better no matter what. And they're not going to really care too much about hurting feelings or whatever. They're just going to do what they need to do, and I think we're seeing that now. Now, over the next few weeks, you're going to hear a lot of rumors. I'm going to have a lot of videos on rumors about Pete Alonso, about Luis Severino, Sean Manaea. And Sean Manaea did not pitch well, but that was not his fault today, because that inning blew up on him, because Marte, that wasn't even a difficult play for him to make. All he has to do is run in and catch that ball, and that's it. But he basically blew it. And a routine play, folks. A routine play to be made. And I also heard and read the statistic online today that he has given up the most defensive runs in baseball, meaning that he is costing the Mets games in terms of giving up runs, and it's just terrible work. Earlier today, I was talking to a Phillies fan, and the Phillies fan asked me, and really said to me, he's like, it's unbelievable how crazy it is that the Mets fallen so far so quickly. And I said to him, the thing is that the Mets got old very quickly, and particularly with their pitching, with Scherzer and some of these other guys, and obviously Verlander didn't pitch well last year. And they also pitching that they replaced him with wasn't very good. The bullpen wasn't very good last year, obviously. But you have guys on this team in terms of position players that they talk a good game, they say all the right things, but in terms of being productive when the Mets need them to be productive, they're not doing that. Francisco Lindor says all the right things. Pete Alonso says all the right things. But those guys just don't cut it. They just can't do it late in the game or in a big game. Can you remember the last time they had big games against a big team? When it was in September, the 1 year, and they did not play well. And in September 2022, they had such an easy schedule, and they struggled. I mean, they struggled in Oakland. They struggled in a couple other places against Pittsburgh and the Marlins, of course. So, the Mets have had this sort of knack of being terrible when there's no need to be terrible. And leadership is not just about how you are in the clubhouse. The number one component about being a good leader is performing on the field. That's the most obvious thing. Give you an example. The greatest leader we ever saw with the Mets in the last 40 years was Keith Hernandez. And Keith was the best player in the Mets. It really was. He was their leader. Everybody knows that Keith was the leader on the team. He was there. He was most productive most of those years he was with the Mets. Everybody listened to Keith. He was the Mets' best hitter, best defensive player, probably the smartest player in the game. Now, obviously, that's an ultimate leader there. But Keith was productive when the Mets needed him to be productive. He got big hits late in the game. He made big plays in the field when the Mets needed him to. And this group doesn't do that. These group of players don't do that. I'll give you another example. This is a quieter guy. As you can see him outside. Curtis Granderson. Curtis Granderson did not have a high batting average in his career with the Mets. But he always had a knack for getting big hits in a game. There was nobody that ever said that he wasn't a leader on the Mets. And he said all the right things, after the game with the media, and he said and he was a great player to deal with the other players. But the number one thing that Grandy was great at was being productive late in the game, being a tough out late in the game. He was great with the Mets. Had so many big hits, especially from 2015 on. He always had big hits with the Mets. I never felt uncomfortable with him up the plate late in the game. David Wright was another guy like that. Gary Carter was another guy like that. Darryl Strawberry. It's more than just being rah-rah guy in the clubhouse, rah-rah guy in the dugout. It's also about coming up in a big spot. And these guys don't do it. Part of it's because they're just not good enough. And I felt that this team needs, and now because it's been a disaster, you got to break this group up. I felt that this team needed another player, a better player than these guys, to galvanize them, to be sort of a real nucleus, a real anchor. The anchor the Mets have are guys that are pulling them down. That's a bad kind of anchor. You know what I mean? So this leadership situation with the Mets, it's done. I mean, we've seen this group together too long now. It's time to break this group up and get rid of pretty much everybody we can. The only problem is it affects next year. So that's what the Mets are having to deal with. That's what we're having to deal with here in New York, is this team that is sort of a bad team. It's not a good group. I mean, they're nice guys on the team, but I'd rather have a room full of a-holes that win than a group of nice guys. And we've had that here. You're old enough to remember. But anyway, hope you like this video outside, and we'll do more of this. This was again, let's play tomorrow in London. We'll see how that goes. And then they come back on Tuesday to basically come back to the States and resume the season. Well, the season's still going on, but so it's a little bit of a vacation for the players, which I didn't have an issue with them. They want to go enjoy their time in London. That's fine. That's not a big deal. But the game on Saturday was a microcosm of the season. Bad defense, lousy starting pitching, no offense, and really just a real mess of a game. And like I said earlier, Jeff McNeil's in trouble. I wonder how long he's going to be here. Starlin Marte is a mess defensively. He's probably past his prime. And that's it. So, thank you for watching this video. Of course, please subscribe to Baseball Hut, and I'll see you later.